Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast. I'm Janey Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, this is Janey Grace. Welcome to the podcast. Hope you've had a good week. I've had a fantastic week because I've literally just found out that the podcast has hit over 100,000 listens. Isn't that amazing? I can't believe it. I've literally just seen that on the info. We get these kind of charts and it's regularly been up there in the self-help charts, which is really exciting. But yeah, there's something magical, isn't there, about 100,000? I'm super, super happy about that. And I'm just really so grateful to everyone who listens and who, tells their friends and shares it and stuff. It's, it's such a labour of love for me. I'm doing this because it's, just kind of happened organically. I haven't really promoted it. So, it's really brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling your friends. And please carry on doing that, and I'll carry on bringing you the podcast. So it's been an interesting week in the news. There's been bits and bobs about alcohol in the news. I saw a piece that finally is looking at labelling on alcohol. It's in the Daily Mail. It said alcohol will be sold with strict health labelling under any future Labour government. This is what they're saying, that product labelling would have to clearly display alcohol content in units, nutritional information, pregnancy warnings, as well as the Chief Medical Officer's drinking guidelines. I mean, it's incredible, actually, isn't it, that we don't already have proper labelling on alcohol. If you think about it, you've got more nutritional information on a carton of milk, or juice than you have on a bottle of wine. We're not given any information on it, really. And I don't think most people realise either what units really are. That's all sort of tremendously confusing as well. Even the advice about what you meant to safely drink, that's all changed. And yet I don't know if anybody takes any notice of it. They did used to say... it was 28, didn't they used to say 28 units a week for men and 21 for women. And now they've changed it to 14 units a week for both. I think that's what it is. I mean, actually, the reality is, if you're anything like me, when you're a drinker, if you're an over drinker, and that's just the way you are, it doesn't mean anything, does it? It just doesn't mean anything. You may well start out at the beginning of your week thinking, I'm going to be really good and I'm going to stick to my 14 units. But, by the time you're on your third large glass of wine, you've hit the fuck it button by then, and who cares or knows, and you've lost all track of it, and I think there are many people who could probably add up their 14 units in a night. But anyway, it's interesting to just at least see this stuff talked about. I suppose it's all good that at least we're recognising now. In fact, the guidelines actually now, a lot of it actually says there is no safe limit. And that's what it should say, easy for me to say now. I think back sometimes, I remember when the Chief Medical Officer came out with something. This must have been about 3 years ago, and I remember reading that Dame Sally Davies had said that there was, without any shadow of a doubt, a link between drinking alcohol and breast cancer for women. And I remember being, incensed by reading that and just thinking, oh, how dare you? It's just so ridiculous. I mean, we hear what we want to hear, don't we? And disregard the rest. That's a classic line from the song goes. I mean, honestly, how it manages to dupe us all, even those of us who are quite bright, it's still beyond me. I keep thinking about it, a lot. It's this whole thing of how it's such an illusion, and we've all so many of us have bought into this. And as I said on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, the emperor isn't actually wearing any clothes. It really is all an illusion, but it's so glamorized. I had a message from a podcast listener the other day. It was a really lovely message that she sent me, saying that she really loved the podcast, and I might have mentioned this already, because she gave me a great compliment, saying that I had an unannoying voice. So thank you for that. I'll take that. Unannoying. That's okay. But then another podcast listener sent me a message and said that from listening to the podcast, she's just become aware now of how it is everywhere. The messages around alcohol are everywhere. You look literally everywhere. And she went to a garden centre. Literally to pot around looking at plants, and you think you might be able to have a nice cup of tea and a scone or something. And then there's alcohol for sale. Not only that, a whole rack of greetings cards. And she sent me a little pic that she'd done on her phone. And there were literally about 20 cards, all with different designs, all around drinking alcohol. Pictures of Prosecco and this, that and the other. It seems like you just cannot celebrate without alcohol. That's the kind of messages. So anyway, I pointed her in the direction of Sober Fish, Dawn's lovely cards, and hopefully she'll find some there. So today's podcast, I've got a couple of guests actually. I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I've been wanting to share Sober Dave's story for ages. Sober Dave is called Dave, as you might guess, and he's been along to pretty much all the events that we've been running with the charity that I work with, My Yard. We've been running these self-care for the sober curious events once a month since January actually, and I think Dave's been to pretty much all of them, and it's been really lovely to see just how he's kind of flourished since he's started his sober journey, and he's also rocking it on Instagram. So I thought it'd be lovely to hear Dave's story. And then I thought we'd hear from Emily, who I've met a couple of times. Emily runs Sober and Social, and I thought it'd be great to chat to Emily about why she formed Sober and Social, and just about the whole how we just deal with all this thing about getting back out there onto the social scene when we've decided to ditch the booze. So let's hear from Sober Dave first. Huge welcome to David Wilson, who's my guest today. He's better known to many of you as Sober Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Hi, Janey. I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks.
Good.
So we met when you came along to one of our Self-Care for the Sober Curious events. Well, you've been to several. You're a real supporter, and we appreciate it a lot. Tell us a little bit about your background then, because you've had your own illustrious past, as we say.
Well, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, tell us a bit about you were sort of working. You were involved in TV for a while. Tell us a bit about that time.
Oh, well, I landed a job on 60 Minute Makeover 10 years ago, and that was back in the day when it was actually done in 60 Minute Makeovers, and a lot of people don't believe us, but it was.
What was your profession then, or what is
I'm
your
in the
profession?
carpet trade, so
okay.
I got a few names now. On that, I was Dave the Carpet.
Okay.
And later on, Peter Andre joined the team, and he was the presenter.
Yeah.
And I worked with him for 3 years on the show. And actually, that's how I met my wife.
Oh, amazing.
We were doing her makeover on the show, and then that's how we got together. So, yeah.
Wow. Because they don't do that kind of thing anymore much, do they, on the telly? As you said, they used to do it. They used to actually do the whole thing in a few days, and then sometimes they'd do that kind of going back thing and seeing what had happened. I
know. It's all changed now. I mean, we haven't done that for 2 or 3 years now. It's all done on the computer, I think, now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sort of redundant on that side of things, but I still carry on in my own life doing the carpets and that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about your drinking past then. Let's look into that.
Well, I started when I was 13 or 14.
Wow,
typical,
that's early.
Yeah. Early 80s. You could go into a pub. You never asked your age or whatever. You just go in there, and we were drinking 4 or 5 pints and getting hammered and whatever.
Yeah.
And then carried on to my early 20s, which I suppose was quite normal, really. Going clubbing and that usual thing. But then it sort of escalated when I started going to a local pub in my early 30s, and I became quite a regular there.
Mm.
And that's when my drinking became quite heavy, because I used to go there virtually every day. My nickname there, see all these names, my nickname in that pub was Glugs.
Yeah.
Because I'm renowned for being a quick drinker. So I could go in there for an hour and have 5 or 6 pints in an hour.
Yeah, wow.
And then I moved Janey to a cottage out in the sticks a little bit, and the pub was too far for me to go to, and that's where it really got me in trouble because I started drinking at home on my own. And those were the days where I think smoking had been banned from pubs, and people started buying 3 bottles of white wine or red for £10 in the supermarket.
Yeah.
I started with that, and then I started to put on a bit of weight. And I read that vodka was really low in calories, so I started on vodka, and that's when I really, I was drinking at home on my own as well.
Yeah.
Up to a bottle of vodka a night.
Wow. And so how was this affecting you then? At what point did you, start to realise, oh dear, something's actually wrong?
Well, I was quite in denial for a long time. And I think it's when I met my wife and I moved in, I sold my house there and moved in, that I really realised that the drinking was a problem, of course, because you can't, when I was living on my own, there was no one there to justify it to. But she started questioning me, and then I started hiding alcohol, and she'd say to me, "Oh my God, you're so drunk, you've only had 2 glasses of wine," but I was, necking it elsewhere in the house.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I heard another one of my guests was saying that it was the moment that they started to hide the booze that they really realised it's a problem. It's a funny thing that when you're not, to all other intents and purposes, you're a perfectly functioning, happy, successful person, and then there you are hiding booze. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and the thing is, you're so ashamed of yourself because there was one day I hid the PS4 remotes, and I was drunk then, and I didn't realise that Em was looking for the remotes, and she stumbled across 3 or 4 empty bottles of wine in the bedroom, but they were like one behind the bed, one in the wardrobe, and I didn't even remember they were there. That was the thing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even covering myself with it, And it got worse and worse and worse. And in the end, I wouldn't say she gave me an ultimatum, but I knew in my heart that if I didn't do something about it, that my marriage would probably end.
Yeah.
And that's when I really realised that things would have to change.
And what did you do then? How did you feel at that point? Did you know where to look for support and help, or did you feel very, very kind of lonely? Because the really bizarre thing, of course, is that for so many of us, we think we're the only ones in this situation.
Yeah, we discussed together the way round it, and I did foolishly think I could cut down. So we agreed almost together, well, look, you just have 1 bottle of wine a night, which is, we know, still too much. And that lasted for a few days, and then I was hiding wine again, and drinking too. So there was one day that I saw her. I was in my office looking into the house, and I saw her, and she looked so distraught and upset, and I just thought, what am I doing? And I knew then that it was all or nothing, and I had to stop. And that was when I realised that I'd have to completely give up drinking.
Yeah. And how did you do it then, Dave?
Cold turkey.
Did you? So you literally, so it really was as a result of a definite decision, and that was it.
I knew this had sort of been coming for a long time. Yeah, I wasn't quite there. It's like when you give up smoking and you smoke the last fag and you think, oh, do you know what? I don't know if I can do it yet. But I sort of just thought one day, it's ironic actually, a friend of mine texted me and he said to me, I had a stinking hangover that morning, and he texted me and he said, how do you feel about giving up drinking for 3 months? To see how you are and how your marriage is and how you feel. And I looked at it straight away and I thought, there's no way. But that sort of settled in throughout the day, and it was perfect timing for me. And that night I went to see him and I shook him by the hand and I said, let's go for it. And 2 or 3 days after that, I realised that was it for me. It was not going to be 3 months. It was going to be forever. And that was 6 months ago now.
Right. Okay. So it's relatively recent, Dave. Wow. And,
yeah, quite recent. Yeah.
Wow. You've managed to create an amazing profile for yourself. You're really singing it from the hills. It's great. So how difficult was it for you? I mean, I think it's really important to sort of let people know that, because I think this decision is so important. A lot of people talk about getting sober, but they forget that you've really got to want it and to make that decision first. But then it's not necessarily plain sailing. It must have been a bit tough for you, despite having made that decision.
Yeah, I found certain times harder than others. I mean, the initial period was almost the honeymoon period where, you're waking up in the morning and you're feeling better, and even after a week, people saying, "Oh, you look better," and almost like I was ill. And then people started being honest and saying, "Well, we were worried about you was looking quite unhealthy," and so then there was the euphoria of that. But I found Friday evenings and Sunday afternoons really hard, because that was my real favourite. Sunday afternoons, I used to make excuses of, "Oh, shall I start the dinner, start peeling the potatoes or whatever? Oh, do you want a glass of wine?"
Yeah.
So I really struggled with that. And then I don't know if you remember, in February, we had some really nice weather over the bank holiday.
Yeah.
And I found that so hard, because I thought I've got 3 days here. I went over, I live in Wandsworth, and I was over the common, there's people having picnics with champagne in the pub nearby, the gardens were full and that. And I thought, God, the reality of this is that I can no longer really sort of fit in with that society anymore, the drinking culture. But the more it's sort of gone on, I realised that I can.
Yeah. Well, presumably your attitude towards the alcohol has changed, because at the beginning there's often this feeling of, oh my goodness, look how lucky they are, they're getting to drink champagne on the common and I'm not. But presumably over time you actually realise that you're the lucky one, and why would you want to sit drinking a load of old poison?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I've realised, your self-care for the sober curious is an amazing event. And I love coming, and you meet so many lovely people there as well. And you realise that you aren't the only one, and there's people there that are on the beginning, or they've been sober for years. It's just a great group of people. And also Instagram, I found that there's such a tight community on there for sober people.
It's very inspirational, isn't it?
Oh, it's so amazing. I've learned so much through it and that. And I think we all encourage each other. I did try AA for a few meetings and that, but it didn't sort of fit right with me at the time. I'm not, I know it helps thousands and thousands of people, but it just didn't feel right for me.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel, do you had that sense of you haven't given something up, you've gained a whole new Dave? do you feel that way? Yeah.
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
I mean, the benefits I could write.
Tell us some of just tell us a few of them then, Dave. Just give us a few of the benefits for you.
Well, the two main things is my marriage is completely back on track now. I mean, I've regained her respect. I've regained my own self-respect, because I that was a big thing for me, that I thought, do you know what? People say what a lovely man I am, but I'm lying, I'm betraying myself in a way,
Yeah, isn't that interesting, that kind of lack of authenticity? I think a lot of people feel that, Yeah,
my health is ridiculously better.
Good.
I mean, my blood pressure 8 months ago was 170/95, and I was rushed into the chemist to be put on medication.
Really?
And I went the other day and it was 116/76.
Wow.
And that's after 6 months.
And that's kind of all you've changed. You haven't necessarily changed everything else, or
well,
have you?
Maybe slightly better eating, because
Yeah,
I think when you drink a lot, you eat more rubbish, and you end up in the kebab shop or whatever.
Yeah.
I've lost nearly 2 stone as well.
Have you really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you are. Well, actually, I'm really jealous now, because I haven't.
I've been training, Janey. I'm doing big bike events. So I'm the London Brighton on Sunday, London Friday after, and then London Paris. So it's
brilliant.
not all.
It's not just because I was going to say, did you kind of get the sugar head on? Did you get some sugar cravings when you gave up, or were you quite good on that?
That was terrible for me. I must admit, a couple of 3 weeks after I gave up drinking, I was craving sugar so much. Yeah. But I'm lucky my wife and her sister and friends are nutritionists, and that I also went to I listened to a TED called Jolene Park as well.
Yeah, grey areas of drinking. Yeah.
about nutrition. I sort of weaned my way off of sugar, which was good because, you know, you can't replace one with the other. So that my sleep patterns were, after 2 or 3 weeks, were so much better. I was getting, you know, 8 hours sleep. But with that came a few lows as well.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I think it is important to let everyone know that it's not all completely roses.
No, it isn't. It isn't. The feeling of no escape was a big one because, you know, I used to drown my sorrows.
Yes,
and
of course.
Or come in, and you always find an excuse to have a drink. You think, do you know what, I've had a terrible day, I'm going to have a drink and whatever. But when that goes, you're sort of left out in the open a little bit.
Well, I suppose it means you have to face whatever the issues are. You've got to actually face them head on, which can be tricky, can't it?
Well, after 40 years, it can.
Yes.
And you know, that's a difficult part. And also, I had terrible, like, a couple of 3 days of really, really bad, irritable, grumpy, snappy moods. And
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Someone told me on Instagram about the pause, you know, post-acute withdrawal syndrome, and every single symptom was me.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember, well, I'm not telling you, but we have that. Our brain's rewiring itself after such a long time of abuse, and you've got to just go with it it, I think, because it's like having flu. You can't get over it, can you, overnight?
Yeah. And I know you obviously you started coming to our events, our monthly events, which is brilliant. It's been lovely to have you there. What else did you do to kind of power tool yourself up, as it were? What other support did you get?
Well, I didn't really get any other support, but I've had quite a few people message me on Instagram.
Right.
And 2 or 3 people have actually given up drinking as well.
Wow, that's so brilliant. So you're you're becoming an amazing inspiration then, Dave.
Well, the thing is, Janey, the ironic thing is I did a counselling course and I was on the back of level 3, and unfortunately my mum passed. And that was part of the reason I gave up drinking as well, because I just thought I need to look at things in reality, you know. I can't just drown my sorrows all the time. And that's really helped me with helping other people because, you know, you don't judge and you listen more. And there were a few people that were messaging me saying, look, I'm in this situation. What can I do? And I'm only now 6 months sober. I can't tell anyone what to do. But to just have that person listening and letting people talk to them, that really gives me a lot, you know, myself. And it makes me feel like we are in this community. And as I said before, when I come to see you and all the new people at Self-Care for the Sober Curious, you realise that this community is growing. I really think that in 5 years there's going to be a huge surge of people that aren't drinking anymore.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Tell us about your wife, because tell us a little bit about her, if you'd like to share that, because I know she's written a book.
She has. A book's called All That Followed. She had cancer 10 years ago, breast cancer, after giving birth to triplets.
Wow.
And she already has a son, Jake, of 7. And when we met on the show, it was shortly before our first meet-up for a drink. She found out her breast cancer had returned.
Wow.
And then she gave me the news and then the get-out clause of maybe, you know, you don't need this and just wish me farewell. And I thought, well, I don't want to do that. So, yeah, one of our first dates was in the chemo ward.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, and then she recovered from that, and she wrote this book, which is amazing, All That Followed. And just recently, not funny enough, but in January, 2 weeks after I gave up drinking, she was re-diagnosed again.
My goodness.
So a lot of people think that's the time to say, well, I'm, sod this, giving up drinking.
I'll drink. Yeah.
But it actually spurred me on even more.
Yeah.
It made me realise how, although I was there for her before, in my own self, I wasn't, because, I was blocking a lot of it out. And I do remember that sometimes, some days I was in the chemo ward with a hangover, which is absolutely awful to think about.
Well, you can't be as present when you're drinking, can you? You just
No,
can't.
you can't. And when you stop, you realise how you wasn't present.
Yeah, so true.
But this time round, I mean, another bonus is that we've slept every single night in the same bed since drinking.
Yeah, rather than you being resigned to the couch.
That's right. And a lot of it was an excuse just to have more booze.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the time she'd come in and I was snoring my head off on the sofa because I'd just drunk so much I fell asleep.
Yeah.
So,
and how is she now, Dave?
She's doing really well, Janey.
Great.
She's under the Marsden at Fulham and they're fantastic there.
Oh, good.
I'm raising money for CRUK, who are a fantastic charity. And I think she's been nominated now for ambassador for CRUK now because she does a lot of speaking events for them. And she's an amazing woman. She really is.
And how are the kids then? Because, you're stopping drinking is going to have a big impact on them, isn't it? I one of the things I think about most is my impact on my kids across the years. I mean, I wish I could have stopped it sooner, but hey ho, at least I have now. And it's a big one, isn't it? Your relationship with children and what they're seeing,
Yeah, well, I'm their stepdad.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're triplets, and they're like,
that's full on, Dave.
Yeah, it really is. And they're like velociraptors. They circle you and they pin you down. Yeah, and they did start saying, "Oh, Dave's always drunk," and Em would tell me this, and I sort of didn't want to hear it.
No, of course.
But then once I gave up drinking, I have the odd non-alcoholic lager, and they go, "Right, you're not drinking," and they realise now that it's 0%.
Yeah.
And I think quietly, they don't tell me, but I think they're quite proud of me, really, because they start going to go, "Em, if she has a glass of wine now." So and it's so important. I mean, they're 9 years old now.
Yeah.
And it's so important that they don't grow up in that environment of
absolutely,
that drinking indoors thing. That is another massive bonus for me that they're growing up now, not being surrounded by that.
Yeah. And you can be there for them now and be so much more present, can't you? I mean, I'm sure that you, with 3 kids age 9, I'm sure there's a lot of fun in your life. And, I think you're able to bring that fun back when you stop drinking. I think it's amazing how alcohol steals your joy. I think I might have said that on a podcast last week, but alcohol does steal your joy. It makes it very difficult for you to be playful. I mean, I used to find that even when I was with the kids, I kind of one half of my brain would just be planning when I can next go and have a glass of wine rather than playing with them. I mean, oh my God, when I look back and think about it, it's just awful.
I know. You could write huge paragraphs about that itself, and especially in the morning. I remember my own son, George, he doesn't live with me, but I remember one morning I had him for Christmas and he was young and he was full of energy, and I got in about 3:00 in the morning from a club.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely knackered, and it was all I could do to just spend time with him. I just wanted to lay down, and it's an awful thing. Yeah. And I've always said to people, it's always the first hour of enjoyment. Of the first couple of 3 drinks, or in my case 6.
Yeah.
And after that, it's downhill.
Yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely downhill that I used to, and Em used to say to me, I could see the look in your face when you disappeared from me. It's like losing someone, and that makes me
right.
sad.
That's so interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And that, now when I mean, I'm not saying I'm picky on when she drinks that, because she doesn't drink hardly, but if she has a couple of glasses of wine, I can sort of tell the difference there. And I've got to think, well, what was I like after 2 or 3 bottles of wine?
Yeah.
She's a saint to put up with that, I think. So, yeah.
Well done you, Dave. It's really inspiring, and I think it's great that you're sharing your story and you're putting this out there. I mean, what would you say to anybody listening who's in very early stages or they know that they're days away from this decision or whatever? What would be your kind of top tip for people?
I would just say, I mean, there's that saying, a day at a time. And I think that's really important, because it is a hard challenge. There's no denying that it's easy peasy, because it really isn't. And there's times you're going to feel really, really on top of the world, and there's times that you're going to think, I can't do this anymore. And I've had quite an intense 6 months. I mean, I've been putting a lot out on Instagram every day, and you know, I know myself that now 6 months down the road, because my health is so much better. I've lost the weight, my skin's clear. I enjoy social events, and my wife's gained an Uber, you know, because I drive everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Now.
You become a cab driver. Yeah, actually, that's the only downside for me.
Yeah,
I now have
it's
to
a bit,
taxi
yeah.
my kids everywhere. I may as well put
know.
a hat and a sign on my car.
I know.
But I'm only joking. It's actually a complete privilege. That was one of the things for me. I remember the first time I was able to kind of go and get my son from something really late at night. Otherwise, I would have always have said, "Oh no, you know, send my husband."
Well, yeah, but mine was even like 7 o'clock at night.
Oh, right.
Because I was thinking, you know, it's Friday. I want to go in the pub after work, and I can't do that now. And it's, you know, it's a terrible thing. But going back to what I'd say to people is just honestly stick with it, because the benefits are huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, they slip, but try again.
Yeah.
You know, as a girl that I talked to on Instagram, and she's relapsed 3 times now, but it's each time she starts again, a bit like snakes and ladders. She doesn't think, do you know what, that's it, I can't do it. Each time she holds her hands up and she starts again. There's no rule saying that you have to do it first time round.
Exactly. I mean, I think people do tend to beat themselves up a little bit too much. We don't do that with anything else, you know, in our lives. We don't expect ourselves to have total perfection from the off. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, Dave, thank you so much. We could talk for ages, but thank you. It's a lovely, you know, lovely bit of inspiration for people, I think. So people can find you on Instagram at sober_Dave. Is that right?
That's right. Today.
Yeah, brilliant. Sober_Dave today. Is that it?
Sober_Dave_today.
Oh, okay. 2
Bit tricky. I'm sure they'll find
That's all right. We'll put that in the show notes.
All right, Janey.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And see you at the next event. Cheers.
You.
So inspirational, isn't he? And Dave, actually, we recorded this a little while ago. So what's happened literally just in the last week is that Dave has been harnessing and bringing together lots of people on Instagram and trying to set up a meetup. So as it stands, don't quote me on this because we're literally in the planning stages, but I'm going to help Dave out with the organising, and we're planning something for we think 7th of September 2019. So 7th of September in London. That's a Saturday. So put that date in your diary if you're able to make it. It'll be a low-key kind of meet-up and lunch and a bit of inspiration. And it's Dave's thing, really. So I'm just sharing this information with you. I can't tell you where you can book tickets yet because I don't know. But keep a check on Instagram. Have a look at Janey Lee Grace and at Sober Dave, and you'll see something pop up real soon. I'm sure I'll be able to share the link with you by next week, and we'll pop it in the show notes. But for now, just mark the date on your calendar, 7th of September. I'm hoping that I'll be able to use that day as well to launch the Sober Club. I'm hoping it'll be ready to rock by then. So yeah, maybe end of August even. So if you're not aware of the Sober Club yet, this is the online community that I'm going to bring forth. It's going to be all about connection and accountability, and really importantly, it's going to be about teaching and inspiration. And I want to focus very much on holistic living, you know, kind of, as I've said in previous podcasts, that kind of up-leveling that tends to happen to people across all areas of their life once they do this thing, once they quit the booze or manage to crack mindful drinking, as some people do. But once you've got this completely under control, then all of a sudden your life opens up. You've got more time. You've got more energy. It's almost like you're a different person. And in many cases, you really are. And so suddenly you do care about health and well-being. You do care about your mindset. You do care about your career and your purpose and your goals and achieving your dreams, whatever they might be. And that's what we're going to focus on. So the Sober Club is for you. Whether you are have just given up, or you're thinking about giving up, or whether you've been sober 5-6 years, doesn't really matter. We're not focusing so much on the day-to-day challenge at the beginning, although of course we'll point you in the right direction for that, but it's going to be very much all the other inspiration, as well as very much the connection of meeting, even if it's only online, like-minded people. So I really hope you'll think about joining the Sober Club. At this point, it's the waiting list stage. So sign up to be on the waiting list, because the people that sign up at the beginning, I will offer to join at the beta rate. That's the expression, the early stages rate, because it'd be lovely to have you involved from the start and get your feedback. So if you want to take advantage of that, then just go to thesoberclub.com. It's not an all singing, all dancing website. It's just a kind of landing page, thesoberclub.com. We'll send you a little PDF of tips, but that's all it is for now, just to kind of register your interest. Obviously no obligation at all, but it'd be amazing to have you involved.
So one of the things that people constantly worry about when they decide to ditch the booze is whether they'll ever have a social life again. And I'm so pleased that my guest is Emily Seifus from Sober and Social. So there it is, right there in the title. Emily, thanks ever so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your background then, because your work is extremely social.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me today. So my work is based around being social. So I work for a company called Quintessentially, and it's a concierge company, which is amazing. But my job title is head of nightlife, which means I have to be very social and go around to bars and nightclubs and private members clubs in London, and build relationships with them to enhance our services. So that's kind of my background, on my day job. And then on the side, I run Sober and Social, which is a slight oxymoron, I suppose. But after I decided to go sober, I still wanted to do the social side. So that's why I kind of do both now.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that originally, at least, you were a bit of a party girl, and you made the most of of all of this. No doubt the drink was flowing, and you probably made the most of it. Did you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's probably why they gave me the job, because they knew that I really enjoyed drinking, and that I was very social. So those two together, it's kind of someone's dream job in a way, just doing all of those things. So yeah, it was lots of fun. I mean, and it still is lots of fun. It's just obviously changed slightly from not drinking it.
So where did something change for you then? Did you sort of reach a point where you just thought this is too much, or how did it come about?
Yeah, I think for me, for a while, I had gone through cycles of drinking and not drinking for probably about 4 years, I would say. Probably from the age of 25 is when I was first like, actually, this isn't really serving me anymore. But I think it's very easy to stay in the cycle of alcohol, especially when you're kind of in that environment job-wise as well. But it just got to a point for me where it was very negative, and I didn't have a healthy relationship with alcohol in the end. So it was something I decided that really, when I wasn't doing it, I was a lot happier, and that if I didn't do it, really I could feel this good for the rest of my life. So I decided that, and I still wanted to do my job. I absolutely love my job. I love working for the company, and I didn't want to not be able to do it. So I just thought, right, I'm going to have to get myself out there and still be social, still connect with people, and still do my job, basically, just minus the booze.
So what was it like when you first, when your colleagues first became aware of this? I mean, presumably they were, this is a thing for all of us, of course, but for you, even more so, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were sad they weren't going to have like their drinking buddy to go out drinking with anymore. But I think also they were probably quite grateful, because it meant I was going to be, at work on time, wasn't going to be hungover, wasn't going to be in a bad mood. All of those things that happen when you've got a hangover, really, which, as you can imagine, I had quite a lot of hangovers quite often.
Yeah,
so they definitely noticed the difference in me, I think.
But were they worried that you might not be able to relate to, the clients and the bars and the clubs in the same way? I mean, there's almost an expectation in your kind of field that one will drink with clients and colleagues.
Yeah, definitely. I think like that was. I mean, I think more so it wasn't a worry for them, but it was more of a worry for me that maybe like our relationships wouldn't be as good or they wouldn't be as strong. But actually, from doing this, they've actually become the complete opposite. Because if you think about it, the meetings that you have now are maybe a breakfast or a lunch, or you're going for coffee. So actually, the connections that you're having with people and the conversations that you're having are a lot more real and a lot more deeper, and you remember them versus actually, you know, oh, I'll come to a nightclub and I'll visit you and we'll have a quick chat, which, you know, really no one fully remembers in the morning, if they're honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And so,
yeah.
Was it difficult for you when you decided to give up then? How did you go about it? And was it difficult given that obviously for you really did have to head straight back into the social situation? You didn't have the luxury of kind of holing up in your PJs for several weeks, I'm guessing.
No, exactly. That's why I decided to set up Sober and Social kind of like straight away, because I knew that I had to go back into this environment, but I also knew I needed something to be accountable to in order to go back in that environment and stay sober and actually be able to do, you know, my job well, and also be in the environment and not feel like you're not left out or that you're missing out on things, which I think people very much fear when they give up alcohol, is that all of those things will kind of go away, and that will you be able to have a conversation with people? Will you still be fun? Will people still like me if I'm not having any of that alcohol? So for me, setting up Sober and Social straight away to have that accountability and to kind of A, you know, keep me on track, but also B, think, you know, there must be other people in London that still, they want to go to nice places, they want to meet nice people, they want to have nice drinks, they just don't want to do it with alcohol. So I think setting it up straight away did me, you know, very well in terms of going straight back into my job and being able to do that and be sober.
Yeah. So tell us exactly, what is it then? You know, what is Sober and Social? Who is it for? And what kinds of things what kind of events do you try to initiate?
So Sober and Social really, you know, obviously the kind of, you know, the aim is in the name. It's to help people be confident and connected in a social situation whilst being sober. And my kind of events ethos has been, I mean, essentially, you know, we do events and that is the main premises of it. And the kind of events that we do bar crawls, we've done cocktail making classes, we've done a dating event, I've done a few yoga and brunches, we did a boat cruise last month. So yeah, we do lots of varied different things, and we do evenings out, and I try to do kind of the evenings out on the bar call, like on a Thursday when it's going to be really busy, when people are normally kind of doing, you know, thirsty Thursdays, and that's when they'd want to go out and drink, and really make sure it is still like in the environment where people would normally be drinking alcohol. People can really like experience what it is like to be social and be sober, and, you know, surprise themselves really that they still can go out and they still can be connected. Yeah. I think if we were to do it on a Monday night, you know, most people are having their kind of night off on a Monday, so it wouldn't be as authentic as perhaps that it would be if you were going on a night out on a Thursday and drinking. So I try to make it as, you know, as you can, like, you know, close to a night out when we're doing the night out, the evenings out through. And then, you know, the other ones, kind of the yoga and the brunches, they're just about connecting and having great conversations and eating nice food and, you know, really just building the community side of things.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably been, I can imagine it's been a bit of a lifeline for some people, because, you know, this really is the thing that stumps people, that feeling of, what am I going to do if I go out with my, you know, my usual crowd, they're all drinking and I'm not, but then again, I don't necessarily want to stay in. And you know, so I can see that what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. And the fact that you've got such a variety of events is lovely. You know, you know, as you say, a boat trip, you know, there's yoga, there's regular social evenings. It's you know, it's brilliant. I'm guessing as well that the whole rise in popularity of and availability of alcohol-free drinks has also made it so much easier for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, actually, it couldn't really have come at a better time in terms of, you know, society kind of picking up on, you know, the non-alcoholic drinks brands, and it becoming, in some ways, a slight trend. It all kind of fits in really well with the timing of what I'm doing, which I didn't really mean for it to do, but it kind of worked out that way, which is really nice. And, you know, I have some really lovely feedback from my events. People are like, I've had some feedback being like, I wasn't actually able to go out until I came to one of your events, and now I know that I can still have conversations and kind of be myself, but I didn't know if that was possible now that I'm sober. And if I can just kind of like, you know, get one person to think like that, then, you know, everything that I'm doing is kind of like worthwhile. If that does, you know, make someone feel like they can continue to like live their life, and actually they are being a better person because of it.
Yeah.
Also, for me, it's actually really important, and I think for most people tell you, like, hanging out with kind of like your sober friends and having that kind of space to talk about your sobriety that perhaps others don't really understand. It allows you to kind of have that really safe space to go talk to people. But then because you've done that, you feel able to go back into your kind of, you know, not real life, but, you know, your life with, and be around people that are drinking because you've had that space away from it. So I also like that element, which has definitely helped me in my kind of like sober journey.
Yeah. What would your tips be then for anyone who is, you know, sort of starting out and really not quite sure how to navigate the social scene, particularly if it's a, you know, younger person and they've got the whole dating thing to think about as well? What would you recommend?
I think we could do like a whole other kind of podcast on sober dating.
Yeah, maybe we should.
We'll come back to that one because I think that's its own box to be talked about, really. But in terms of getting back out there, I mean, I would definitely say, you know, reading, listening to podcasts has really, really helped me. I try to meditate every morning, which I know maybe isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it generally has really helped me stay connected and kind of focused on what I really want to achieve for the day. Journaling, which especially like if I'm struggling or there's a situation coming up that I know that might be quite triggering, it's really helped to kind of get my feelings down. To find sober friends would obviously, I mean, to be honest, that's the number one for me, is to find people that you're connected with, that you get on well with, that understand you. And that could be, I mean, there are so many sober meetups, you know, now. I mean, even when I first started sober and social, I couldn't really find that many. But now there's loads. I mean, I would definitely check out the Sober Millennials, obviously Club Soda, Sober Girl Society. Millie, she started doing meetups. So there are, and Instagram as well. I've actually made loads of friends on Instagram, which I actually didn't. I was a bit skeptical about Instagram when I first started.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? The sober community there is brilliant. Yeah, it really is great.
It's really good, and you know, I just say just reach out to people. Just, you know, I mean, I don't like to sound tacky, but you know, slide into the DMs and make friends with people and just say, hey, you know, I've gone sober. Like, what would you advise? Or when, you know, would you like to go for coffee? Like, don't be scared to reach out to people and ask them to up and go for coffee in real life, because I've had so many people do that to me, and I've met with them and had coffee, and you know, it just gives them that kind of bridge into that they can do this, and that there are people out there that are going to support them. And I also think, like, you know, find things that when you were drinking that you didn't really do, because, like, you know, for example, I love running, like, but I would be so hungover. I couldn't go running. So now at the weekends, on a Sunday, I will go running, or I'll do an exercise class, because I actually really appreciate the fact that I can do that now, which I couldn't necessarily do before. So it's just finding the things that you love that, you know, perhaps you kind of put a back burner on because you haven't, you know, been able to do them, because of, you know, hangovers do take over a lot of our lives, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. It's amazing how much time is freed up. And as you say, you get to rediscover all these things that you used to love doing, or maybe it's new things. That's what's so amazing. Your whole life opens up, doesn't it? So have you managed to persuade in any way, or make any kind of impact on any of your colleagues, or on any of the bars and venues that you have to frequent as part of your job?
Yes, I always make sure whenever I'm going to a bar or a nightclub or a private members club, I will always have the conversation with them. Do you have a non-alcoholic menu? If not, kind of why don't you? Or if you do, what is your non-alcoholic selection? And really start opening up that conversation. Because actually the really good thing about my job is that it has put me in a really strong position to be going round to all these places and have these conversations. And, you know, the more people that are doing those conversations and they're hearing about these things, the more likely they are to be like, oh, actually, that is something we need to do, and that is a market that is coming into our venue, and that is something we need to cater for.
Yeah.
I think it's important. So I do kind of make that my own little mission in my life to make sure that is happening.
And do you think it is changing quickly? I mean, I don't know how long it is. How long have you been sober then? Is it 5 years?
Oh no, I wish.
Oh, how long? How long is it?
It'll be a year and 4 months.
All right, okay. But you must have seen a big change even in that time in the availability. And as you say, you're doing your bit to encourage these places. I mean, how much has it grown, would you say, in the UK?
I think it is growing at a rapid rate. And that actually, before, when you'd go and ask in a bar, could you have like something non-alcoholic? It would be very much, oh, we've got a Diet Coke or a Coke or a lemonade. Whereas now, actually, I've been in a lot of bars recently. I posted them on my Instagram as well if anyone's interested. And they have got a separate, like, non-alcoholic menu, which, okay, it's not like a full kind of wine menu, but we're getting there, and people are paying attention to it, and they are. And there's also, what I've noticed in some places, a real art to their like non-alcoholic drinks. They are viewing it as in depth as a cocktail, and they've got stories behind them, and they've got, quirky ingredients in them, and they are really kind of, trying to make it kind of a thing and as interesting as an alcoholic drink, which I really, really think is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people listening to this who'll be saying, gosh, you're so lucky in the UK. A lot of other countries are such a long way behind us here, actually. We are, I think we are kind of leading the way. So, it's great that you're making sure everyone does their bit in the bars and the clubs. Tell us what you've got coming up then with Sober and Social, in the next couple of months or whatever. What kind of things are you planning?
So actually this evening I've got a Friends of Sober and Social evening that I'm hosting at the Conduit Club in Mayfair, which is quite exciting, which is just a few of us kind of tasting their new cocktail menu there, which is really exciting because it's actually really nice to do it in an intimate group. But August we're having a break, and then we'll be back in September with another one of our famous bar crawls, which are so much fun, I cannot tell you. So if anyone hasn't done a sober bar crawl, I would highly recommend it. They're amazing. And a really exciting thing that I'm launching is sober sharing circles with Crabtree and Evelyn, which are going to be running from September to November in their Islington townhouse on Monday. I think it's mainly the first Mondays of every month, so the 2nd of September, 7th of October and 4th of November. And I really wanted to do this because actually I think it's important for people to have a safe space to connect with people, and not just on a social level, but just kind of on a soul level, to be able to come and share their stories and their struggles and their achievements, and have that space to really reflect on their sobriety or where they are in the journey, or maybe they haven't decided to go sober, but they're thinking about it. So they can come and listen to, inspirational people talk about their sober journey. And there just isn't a space for that in London. I think if, not everyone wants to go to AA, and not everyone feels that they need to go to AA, and not everyone can afford therapy. So there needs to be some alternative here. And although, it's not going to be on a mass scale at the moment, I really hope that it can be, and it could be a weekly thing. But yeah, it's really important, I think, for people to be able to come and do that. So that's what we're launching, from September onwards. So hopefully, if that's successful, we'll fully launch that in January. And just a side note, I have the amazing Joanne Bradford hosting the first sober sharing circle for me. She runs Mother Heart and is an emotional healing practitioner and has been sober for a very long time. So she's very well versed in terms of inspiration and kind of sharing her story, and I really look up to her. So I think anyone that will come to that will really get a lot out of it. I'm not charging for it either, so I think that's something that I really kind of want to give back and offer to people to come in with no charge, to be able to kind of explore their sobriety for themselves.
Yeah, that's great. That's how I feel about the self-care for the Sober Curious events that we've done. I think, it's nice to be able to make it open to everybody without the sort of risk of needing to pay for everything. Well, it's amazing that all this work that you're doing. I love it. So just tell us where people can find you then, and obviously on Instagram and everywhere else.
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is @sober _and__social.
Okay.
Let me just double check that.
Yeah, we'll put that I'll put that in the show notes as well. Yeah.
_and__social, or you can go to the website, which is www.soberandsocial.com.
Excellent. Emily, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's great work that you're doing. I look forward to seeing you at one of your events real soon.
No doubt we'll see each other soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
So thank you to my guests this week, Sober Dave, and to Emily. Thank you to everyone who has listened to the podcast and got me to this 100k mark. I'm super excited about it. I don't know if it's unusual or not. I mean, I just started the podcast because, I don't know, I just had some great guests and I just really wanted to get some inspiration for myself, really. So I feel really blessed that I've been able to get so many great guests on the podcast. We've got Lisa coming up from the author of Girl Walks Out of a Bar. So really looking forward to bringing you that interview. A whole bunch of other great guests as well lined up. And don't forget, your feedback is always welcome. If there's anyone you'd like me to try and get on the show, always happy to give it a try. I'm hoping Annie Grace is going to come on the show at some point. That would be great. I know she's super busy, and I know she's got the live event in September, which is super exciting. Wow, I wish I could be part of that. Sounds amazing. And I'm also hoping to get the fabulous Augustin Burroughs on at some point in the autumn, author of Dry and Lust and Wonder and several other great books. So look forward to seeing you same time next week. Make sure you check out that, make sure you're on Instagram at Janey Lee Grace or on Facebook, and we'll give you details of that event September the 7th when we've finalised all the info, and sign up for the waiting list of the Sober Club. It's thesoberclub.com. Still some competitions, by the way, over on imperfectlynatural.com. See you same time next week. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast with Janey Lee Grace. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, rate us, share on social media, and tune in again.